The showdown that exposed my coworker's fake credit. So, I, 29F, work at this mid-sized tech company, and I'll be the first to admit, things are a little drama-filled in the office. But I'm not one for workplace gossip. I just want to do my job and go home to my dog, who honestly appreciates my time more than any of these people. Anyway, let me get to the point. There's this one coworker, let's call her Karen, because it fits, obviously. Karen is the kind of person who has never met a compliment she couldn't take credit for. If you even breathe in the direction of an idea that remotely resembles hers, she'll be the first to claim it as her own and start talking about her vision and how she's been working on this for ages, even though she literally just joined the project last week. It's like she has this magical ability to steal all the glory without doing any of the work. I mean, I get it, we all want to look good at work, but Karen takes it to a whole new level. Here's the thing, we had this big project coming up, huge client, big presentation. My team and I had been working our asses off for weeks. We pulled late nights, went over every detail, and did the kind of work that would make your high school group project look like a toddler's art class. I was the one staying late, sending emails, making sure everything was polished, and coordinating with the client to make sure their needs were met. Karen? She pretended she was doing all of that, but she was too busy scheduling one-on-one meetings with the bosses to show off her strategic thinking and definitely not busy doing actual work. As you can imagine, the day of the presentation rolls around, and Karen, of course, takes full credit. I'm so proud of how we've all come together to pull this off, she says in front of the client, a big smile on her face. But I'm sitting there, internally screaming, because I know she didn't pull it off. She had zero input on the actual deliverables, and the only thing she contributed was her ability to network herself right into the boss's good graces. I was done. So, I decided to set up a little showdown, not in a dramatic way, well, okay, maybe a little dramatic, but it was definitely necessary. The plan was simple, expose who had really done the work while still looking professional. You know, a little bit of sweet passive-aggressive justice. The next meeting was with the whole team, including Karen. My manager was there, and so was the client who had no idea how much of this project was actually mine. I took a deep breath, raised my hand, and said, "Hey, I just want to quickly run through the development process we used for this project and highlight some of the key challenges we faced." I pulled up the presentation deck, my deck, and started going over the timeline. Now, here's where the magic happened. As I walked through the slides, I made it a point to talk about specific tasks and decisions I had made. Like when I was up at 2 a.m. the night before fixing a last-minute bug and coordinating with our developer to make sure everything synced perfectly. I subtly dropped in phrases like, "as I was working through this," or "after I finalized the pitch." It wasn't too obvious, but Karen knew what I was doing. She kept shifting in her seat, looking increasingly uncomfortable. Every time I pointed out something I had done, she was getting quieter and quieter. You could almost hear the sound of her ego deflating with each sentence. Finally, my manager, who, bless him, had been watching the whole thing, chimed in with a "thanks, my name, great work on pulling everything together." That's when Karen, who had been sitting there with a pained expression, couldn't take it anymore. She jumped in with some lame excuse like, "Oh, well, you know, I did suggest the creative direction, but it was clear to everyone that she was clutching at straws." The client, sensing the awkwardness, gave a polite but somewhat confused smile. "Oh, I see, well, thank you for that insight." But it was too late. Karen's little act of pretending she was the brains behind everything was exposed. And honestly, the satisfaction of watching her squirm? So worth it. Now, Karen tried to act all cool about it afterward, but it was obvious she was a little shaken. I got a private thank you email from my manager a few hours later, telling me I handled it professionally and that he appreciated my work ethic. And even better, the client was super happy and recommended us for additional work. In the days that followed, Karen tried to take a more hands-on approach to the next project, which was cute. She still took credit for things here and there, but it wasn't quite the same. People started noticing, and frankly, I wasn't the only one who saw through her act. She was just a little too eager to act like she was carrying the team. In the end, I didn't get a big, dramatic confrontation, but what I did get was way better, a quieter, humbler Karen and the satisfaction of knowing that I didn't need to shout to be recognized. My work spoke for itself. TLDR, Karen kept taking credit for my work, so I subtly exposed who was really behind it during the presentation, and now she's a little more humble. A friend borrowed money, never paid me back, so I set up the perfect situation to get it back, with interest. Alright, here's my petty revenge story, and trust me, I've got receipts, metaphorically, not literally. But I still want to share it because it was delicious, and I want others to know how to deal with these freeloading types. So, about a year ago, I had a friend, let's call her Lauren. We'd known each other for years, met during college, and stayed close even after graduation. Lauren was the type who was always a little short on cash, always promising to pay you back but never actually doing it. Now, I get that life can be tough, and sometimes people hit rough patches, but this wasn't a "I'm going through a rough time" thing. This was a consistent, chronic behavior. Lauren borrowed $200 from me for a really important thing. She was going on a spontaneous trip to visit her cousin, who, by the way, I later found out was at some beach resort on a family vacation, definitely not a need situation, and said she couldn't afford the flight and would pay me back as soon as she got back. Classic, right? A month goes by. No money. I ask, and she says, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry, I totally forgot. I'll pay you next week, promise, another month." Still no payment. At this point, I'm starting to get frustrated, but I didn't want to be that person, so I let it slide. 6 months later, still nothing. Every time I bring it up, she has an excuse. I had to pay my rent. My car broke down. My phone bill was due, and I couldn't avoid it, all of them valid reasons, I guess, but when someone can't even give you $20 here or there, it starts to feel a little intentional. Now, at this point, I'd had enough. But I didn't want to just ask for the money again because I felt like that was too obvious and I would look desperate. So I decided to come up with a plan, something subtle but impossible for her to ignore. Here's where it gets creative. I know Lauren always complained about being broke. She was always posting on social media about manifesting wealth or some other nonsense while simultaneously saying she was too broke to even get a coffee. But she never seemed to struggle when it came to buying the latest fashion or eating out at overpriced places. So, I decided to play her game and give her a taste of what it feels like when someone uses their own tricks against them. I signed up for this monthly subscription box service, one of those high-end beauty boxes that send random, overpriced skincare and makeup products every month. And no, I'm not into that stuff, but the key was that this box was expensive. Like, $150 a month. A bit ridiculous, but it would serve my purpose. The idea? I'd send it to her apartment under my name, but tell her it was a surprise gift because, you know, I'm so sweet. I knew she was a sucker for high-end products and that this would get her intrigued. I also made sure to let her know it was something that I had been gifted and that it was too expensive for me to keep but definitely something she'd love. I played it up like it was some luxury treat from a new brand she didn't know about. She was ecstatic, totally convinced. Then came the kicker. I casually mentioned that there was a monthly subscription fee of $150, and she could continue the service if she wanted to. I told her, "Oh, it's just a little more than I can handle, but you'd really love it, so just let me know if you want to keep it. And don't worry, I can cancel it for you after a month." You would have thought I handed her the golden ticket to Willy Wonka's factory. She was all over it. She even went ahead and paid for the first month, telling me, "It's totally worth it, I can pay you back next paycheck." Of course, let her think that was the plan, after all, I was playing the long game. Now, I had her cornered. I could have immediately asked for my $200 and had that awkward conversation, but no, my time would come, and I'd make sure it would be sweet. The following week, I made sure to casually ask her, "Hey, how's that box going? You enjoying it?" Her eyes lit up like she'd won the lottery. "Ugh, I love it. But honestly, I totally forgot. I was going to pay you for that $200 I owe you. Can you send me your bank details?" she said, full of guilt. Ah, this was it. My chance. I told her, "Oh, that's all right. I've been meaning to talk to you about that, actually. So about that $200, with the subscription fee and all, I was just thinking it might be better if you don't pay me back right now." I let that hang for a second for dramatic effect, then continued, "In fact, you've already paid me $150 for the box, so I guess that'll cover most of it. But there's still the $50 gap." She did not see that coming. It took a second for the gears to turn in her head, but then I saw it hit her. I had literally just swapped one debt for another. The best part was, I hadn't even asked her to pay me back in cash. I just let her pay off my original loan with the luxury box that she was going to pay for anyway. She looked at me, stunned. "So, I owe you $50 now?" "Yep," I replied casually, "but don't worry. I know you've been really struggling with money. If you want, I can just call it even for the box. But you do owe me the $50 for the other stuff, plus interest." She handed me the money begrudgingly, and honestly, it was the best $50 I've ever gotten. But the true satisfaction came a couple of weeks later when she called me up and said she was having trouble with the subscription payments. By then, I had learned that she was avoiding paying me back because she couldn't afford it. Oh, and she stopped bragging about her manifestations on social media. To wrap it up, the best part was when I got an email a month later telling me my subscription was due for renewal, and I canceled it immediately. She never mentioned it again. So yeah, that's how I got my $200 back. It wasn't just a lesson for her, it was a reminder that sometimes a little creative revenge can give you a great outcome and keep your dignity intact. Plus, that $50 felt like a cherry on top. Takeaway? Never borrow money from someone who knows how to get even. TLDR. A friend borrowed $200 from me and never paid it back. So, I set up a clever plan where she paid for an expensive subscription box that I gifted her, and the cost covered most of what she owed me, satisfyingly forcing her to pay back the rest.